Here we go. What's up, everybody? Welcome in. I'm Jeff. I don't think my Cavanaugh button works right. Only on, though. I don't think it comes through clean. Anyway, I'm Jeff. That's Bryan Broaddus, 105.3 The Fan, Love of the Star podcast. You hear him with Vach. You hear him with, I've seen Wooly Bully, Foots, everybody. Bryan Broaddus is the GOAT, the king, the godfather of Cowboys talk and draft talk. Hi, Bryan. It's good to see you.
Good to see you, Jeffrey. We starting the draft show this week. Is that what the plan is?
Boy, I tell you, we might.
That's a shame. Let that one get away from you like that early in that game, and then you rally. But I don't think it really told the whole story of the game. With the way that the Ravens, the run defense stuff is, it's a problem. But man, I mean, the Ravens tried to be the Ravens, tried to get you back in that game. But
yeah, they tried to do a little ravening.
Yeah, a little ravening for you yesterday.
And I suppose that's a good place to start. Now, Bryan Bryan has access to top secret things. Bryan is a top secret agent when it comes to watching the tape of these games. Some of us have to wait until NFL Plus gives it to us, which they haven't yet, but Bryan already has access. So Bryan's already watched tape of this son of a bitch. And I guess the first thing is kind of an overarching thing, because if this thing had ended after 3 quarters, my post game would have sounded a lot different, because it was just so defeated and so awful and so bad. But the fourth quarter, at least they had that spark and they gave themselves a little bit of a chance, and you had something to take out of it. The first 3 quarters, was that as bad as it felt? Like, it's 6 yards a carry for the other team. The run defense is still awful. They can't stop anybody. Everything just felt like this team's not good enough. So when we talk about it, the answers are just going to be they're not good enough. Does that hold up?
Yeah, I thought the same thing when I did my post-game show last night on 105.3 The Fan, that you kind of felt like that it was another one of those New Orleans beatdowns. But this one actually felt a little different when I watched the tape this morning. And I think you'll have the same opportunity when you do. You'll say, okay, there's some run defense plays where it was a 2-yard gain or a 3-yard gain. And then, okay, oh, look, they're playing square on this one. Oh, look, the linebacker's filling. Oh, look, they didn't miss a tackle in the hole. There was some, as bad as that appeared with the way that Derrick Henry ran the ball, a lot of it was self-inflicted stuff that Dallas did. And dealing with Lamar Jackson is no easy thing either. That fake that he pulled to seal the game, the 10-yard run, was a thing of beauty. They caught Dallas in a situation where it was such a pretty play that one of your best linebackers, and with Eric Kendricks, his eyes were completely. You watch the end zone copy of the film. He's not even looking at Lamar Jackson. And then he has to try and rally back inside. But what a pull by him. They got the blocker up. I mean, it was a well-designed play, well-called play. But I think when Dallas looks at this, there's some signs where you see that there is capability of good run defense at times. And, but if the fits are bad, if the missed tackles are bad, this is going to be a game where you watch Mazi Smith and say, you know what, there was some positivity from Mazi Smith, and even adding the rotations that they were able to do with Watkins inside. I mean, a couple of different times he was effective getting off blocks. They have a problem with Linval Joseph. He just can't move like he once did, so there's a problem there. When Overshown, he could get overly aggressive. He missed a couple of different times. I mean, it's going to be, when you watch it, you're going to go, man, if they make the play there, it's a 3-yard gain. They make the play there, they feel here, it's a 4-yard gain, instead of a 17-yard gain or a 12-yard gain or a 9-yard gain. But that quarterback pulling the football and running it on you was, boy, what a wild day to have to deal with that. But they test you in every way. They test you with that football and the way they run it. Unbalanced line. They real quick, Jeff. I'm sorry. They went unbalanced line down on the goal line, and it confused Dallas to the point where, like, Micah, Parsons, and Tank, everybody's standing up to try and figure out where they need to be in the line up, and then they snap the ball, and it's Henry for a touchdown. I mean, it's they had some ideas of what they wanted to do, and there's times where you get outflanked. You just flat get outflanked with the way that the blockers from the edges, and then you have problems with that.
Okay, riddle me this, because you mentioned both Micah and Tank, and I feel like
Yeah.
Micah was kind of in a spin cycle when he was the unblocked man. I don't know if
Yeah.
he was playing hero ball or what, but it
Mhm.
was like surely like too many times you watch him dive down to the running back and then Lamar pulls
Crash.
like the
Yeah.
touchdown, and it's just like there's nobody else out there. So
Yeah.
I don't know your play call, but it sure
Yeah.
seems like that would have been your job. And then we've got Tank and Micah yelling at each other on the sideline. As a guy that when you were in the building, like you were a scout, so I don't know what your perspective would necessarily be on this, but when CeeDee's body language is ass throughout a game, and when Tank and Micah are getting into it, is that something that as a fan you're looking at that and that's worrisome, or is that something that it's like, bro, it's football?
Man, I've watched many a game down on the sidelines, going all the way back to 1992 with the Green Bay Packers, and I'll never forget we were playing Barry Sanders, who's like trying to tackle Jello. I mean, it ain't working. And I'll never forget Wayne Simmons, the linebacker, coming off the field and looking at. We could cuss on this, can't we? We can cuss on our station, right? Okay. I remember looking at, I was standing there next to Fritz Shermer, the defensive coordinator, and Wayne Simmons looks at him and goes, "Fuck this, Fritz. You've got to call this shit this way. If you don't call it this way, this motherfucker is going to run it down our throat all day." And Fritz looks at him and like, "I'm trying to put you motherfuckers in some positions to make some fucking plays. If you would fucking step up like you're supposed to." Okay. See what I'm saying? Okay. That happens. That happens. And I just, and so the next series, what happened? Fritz called the defense that Wayne Simmons asked, and sure enough, they got to stop, got off the field, tackled Barry Sanders. And Wayne came over to Fritz and goes, "See, fucking old man, see what we can do?" And Fritz started laughing and saying, "Yeah, you fucker, I put you in position to make a play."
Okay, I said we could cuss, but damn.
But that's what it was.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And that happens. That is an NFL sideline. And and I'm not trying to be overly dramatic, but that happens. That is what, legitimately happens. And, with body language and stuff, that's you could tell CeeDee was frustrated. The third down, and I think it was 3rd and 14 or 3rd and 15, and and Ferguson stumbles coming out of the break, and Lamb is kind of open, and it's not going to be a first down, but it's, CeeDee's going to catch the ball maybe, but Ferguson stumbles, Dak throws him the ball, and you can see CeeDee kind of just slump, like, why? Come on, yeah, just why? And then, so, that happens. That happens. Dak chose to go the other way, and it happened a couple of different times. Lamb, there were times that they covered him very well in this game. The problem is they figured out that Stevens, and I talked about this in the pregame show, and I talked about it really all week. Vach and I talked about it too on our breakdowns. They could have attacked various parts of this Raven defense, and they chose not to until the very end of this football game. And you're like going, okay, where was that? But I'll tell you what, if you want to look for something positive, Jeff, in this thing, your backs, Rico Dowdle played very well. I mean, he ran the ball with toughness, his blitz pickups, his ability to catch the football. He gave you an effort yesterday that the reason why they just need to keep Zeke on the bench. And I'm trying to think about, and you also want to include Hunter Lipke in that too. Hunter Lipke, with the way he blitz picked up, the way he caught the football, the way he missed late in the game. He makes two of their better players, Humphrey and Hamilton, miss in space for a big play. You can win. You can win with Hunter Lipke playing that way.
And when they couldn't make a single play at any time, it was like the first actual play they made on offense was Hunter Lipke beating Kyle Hamilton across the field.
17-yard play. Yeah. And it was a really nice route by Hunter Lipke, and Dak found him, to the outside there. But yeah, it was a really good route. Hunter he's got this feel for kind of how to find space. And when he catches the ball, he's pretty effective. I'll tell you something that hurt, if I could go back, the Lamb fumble, because Dallas is moving the ball. Dallas has got some rhythm with the way that they're playing. And I was very critical of Mike McCarthy after the game. I'm like, listen, come on. You've got the offense at times looks like it's just fighting to make a play. when you watch some of these other games around the league and there seems to be flow to the offense, you had some flow to the offense until CeeDee Lamb fumbled that ball. That was a really good throw, and he runs a good route to get inside, and he's just got to secure that ball and give Wiggins some credit for knocking it loose the way he did.
Shout out to everybody that's in the chat. Thank you for being here. Please hit the like and subscribe button. We sure would appreciate it. And if you have any questions for Bryan, who's already watched the tape because he's a psycho, he did a post-game show and then didn't sleep and then did tape. So I had a list of things for Jerry yesterday because, like, when he told you guys,
I saw your tweet yesterday. I mean, all the things that went wrong. Was that what you were kind of going to go through?
Yeah, and I wonder, like, how many of those do you feel like are either wrong or fixable with what you have? Because, like, some of it, I do feel like left tackle and right tackle. I think the left tackle is probably an even bigger problem right now, or maybe it just felt that way yesterday. Tyler Guyton with pass protecting, but that's a first round pick. Like, we're going to take our time here. That could get better, but I do think there's a lot of things where I'm like, you have to do something to your roster.
Yeah, I'm not going to try and influence you here, but I was thinking the same thing sitting in the press box. The tape tells a little bit of a different story. It's not as troubling as you would thought because, like I said, I went through and I wanted to make sure that I looked at all the Dallas's pass plays. The running game was just non-existent and stuff like that. So, I got that, but I wanted to make sure that I had these tackles right when it came down to it. Once again, Zach Martin had a little problem that, but Zach Martin's bar is so high that, when he has a problem, you're kind of like, woo, look out. But yeah, there was a couple of different times where I think when you looked at the second half of that football game, that your tackles did a much better job of playing. And, the Ravens had struggled with some pressures going into this game. And, but I think you're going to be kind of like, maybe that was a little bit different than what I thought being in the press box or watching the game on TV.
So I think this is really good for a lot of Cowboy fans, because if you are telling me that I'm going to watch,
I was encouraged by him. There's been games like the Saints game where he was, the footwork and the body position and the hands were all over the place. This was a much better game for him in that regard of playing, making sure that be in position. Now there was a time where he gave up a pressure where his feet stopped. I mean, early in the game, you could see he gets to a point where he sets and then his feet stop. And I'm sure you're going to see that and you're going to go, okay,
Oweh, right? That was Oweh.
Yeah, Oweh. And I go, ooh, this is going to be, and then so you start to watch. And it's kind of like he made a mental note that, like, okay, if my feet stop, I'm worked. And in this case, I think you're going to be okay with the way he played. Again, not trying to influence anybody watching tape out there.
No, I like that. So if that is where I end up, where it's like, okay, maybe the left tackle is not a bright red flag, and it's just kind of a, hey, welcome to a rookie season. We're going to have some ups and downs.
That was rookie football yesterday, yeah.
And you're telling me that I'm going to see Mozzie and have some positivity there.
Yeah.
Then how many things on this team are you still looking at and like, geez, you got to do something about this? Because if I think that I can survive at D tackle, and maybe I still need one, right? Yeah. And if I think that my offensive line is not that there's anything they would do about it in season anyway, that could change my optimism level about the ability to turn it around a little bit.
I would play Cook over Ezekiel Elliott.
Dalvin Cook time?
Yeah, that's what I would do. I would. Rico Dowdle showed yesterday and has been showing that he's a capable blitz pickup guy. He could catch the football. He could run the football with toughness. You can use him on the edge. I don't know if the pass to the flat, again, this is the disadvantage I have not being in the building anymore, working in scouting, where you could go up and you could ask the pass that went to Zeke in the flat. Zeke's looking over his right shoulder.
Is he supposed to be coming upfield?
And then if you throw the ball to his right shoulder where he's looking, he's got no chance of picking that thing up.
Right, you need 7 yards, right?
Yep. And where Dak threw it, if he's looking over his left shoulder, it's a upfield catch, a turn, and a go. And maybe it's a race to the sticks to get it. I kind of felt like, and I'm not trying to, I don't know, and I need to ask. But to me, where Dak put that ball gave Zeke a better chance of getting the first down than if he's looking over his opposite shoulder. And I'm not trying to defend the quarterback, but I'm just going to tell you this. It looked like to me that the ball where it was needed to be where it was, and that gave you the best chance. But if you tell me that I could play Cook, Zeke's not going to give me anything that Rico Dowdle and others haven't already given you. He's not going to help you in any way. Give Cook a chance, see where he's at, and maybe go that route. I wouldn't take off. You could throw the ball to Deuce Vaughn. They ran a Texas route to him, and he caught. They threw him. They tried to run a wheel route. That was the wheel route that's when Martin gave up the pressure inside to Pierce. The ball got hit, and you had some problems there. But I just don't think that Ezekiel Elliott's giving you very much anymore. I think that if you want to make a change out, that's the change out you need to make.
Shout out to our guy, Jeff Heath is the GOAT in the super chat. Wonderful username. The scheme tells me Henry wouldn't make much of a difference here anyway on the play to seal the game for the Ravens. There's two separate motions. Freaky Mike could never. That's also a weird one that in the flow of the game, I do feel like their offense looks pretty stagnant. And then immediately, I don't have tape yet, but I watched condensed game just to see something. And I did see literally on the first drive, they are creatively trying to find ways to protect and misdirect people. Because I watched Tyler Smith in pass protection pull from left guard to right tackle to show something and give people different angles and looks. Right. And I do wonder how much of that, when you go back and look, are they a very stagnant, not moving around, not motioning team?
There's a little bit of that when you watch teams play, not New Orleans or San Francisco or people like that. They're not that way. Their way of doing it is very subtle. They take a tight end, walk him inside, and then walk him out. But as far as what you do with the teams that will motion and then motion again. That's not, that you played a team last week that was a motion and motion again. This team you played this week will line up and just kick your ass. That's what
they did that.
They will line up, and what's so funny in this game was that neither one of their tight ends really killed you in this game. It was their third tight end that made a Charlie Kohler had a 30-yard pass reception in this game, and Nelson Aguilar. I'll tell you something about Carson too, if I could. When you watch him play, he gave up the big play, and there's no question. But that kid shows some toughness. He might make a mistake, but from that point on, he is going to try and make every single tackle he can.
And you can see it doesn't bother him. It doesn't bother him, right?
It doesn't bother him, and he's going to learn, but he has to get. That's the problem with this defense right now is when they don't fit. When they don't do their fits in the running game, they have problems. They have guys that play crash football where, the end goes down and the linebacker's supposed to fill or the safety's supposed to fill, and they can't get that guy there, and it's overshown. I tell you, Leofeld I thought played better this week than he did last week for sure.
I feel like Overshown missed at least 3 tackles on his own.
He did. And there were a couple of times where his eyes deceived him. I'm not making excuses. I'm watching the tape, getting confused, watching the way that guy was ball handling the quarterback. He is so good, and they bust a play. They bust a play where he's supposed to inside.
There's no back for the play action,
back, and he looks, and then all of a sudden it's no back, and then they kind of block the play to be the read option. And he just takes the ball and runs forward for 5 yards, 9 yards. He just takes and just powers forward. And, they have designed runs for him. That I could say that final dagger play they had, holy jeez. What a great read on his part. What a great call to get the guard around up on the linebacker. And, man, that's how you play winning football.
The fact that you have the best running quarterback of all time in the reigning league MVP and that you can have 3rd and 6 or 2nd and 9 or whatever and think that, he'll convert that number on a run play. That's a nice advantage to have.
There was a point yesterday in that game where Dallas Dallas, that was a penalty on. There was a penalty on the Ravens. It would have made it. It was like going to be 3rd and 20 or whatever.
Oh, it was going to be 4th and something. And they made him run 3rd and 20.
They made him run another play, and I'm like, "What the hell are you doing? This guy can convert a 3rd and 17 just by running the football. Don't give him another play." But it worked out. It worked out for him. But yeah, it's there was some as bad as the run defense. The numbers show. There were a couple of times where there was 3-yard gains, 3-yard gains, 2-yard gain, no gain, but there was a lot of others where it was 7 and 9. And what you're going to see, Jeff, is, as I mentioned, when they did a better job of getting off blocks and holding up blocks, but you miss tackles and you don't fit, you're going to have some problems with playing run defense. And you know what, I'll tell you, the cutback for Derrick Henry was big. That was a big play for them. His ability to press and then cut the ball back.
Oh, is that are you talking about the one where Kalen Carson got to?
Yeah. Got stiff armed.
And that's not his fault. There's nothing you can do. If you play corner and Derrick Henry's in the open field and gets to throw that stiff arm, you're going through earth.
And and the thing about it too, with some of the angles that Wilson takes, is a little questionable as well. We
can maybe get Wanya or Marquise Bell some snaps.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see about that. Go ahead.
Shout out to Daniel in the super chat. Jeff Bryan, could we go trade for Jonathan Allen? I don't know if they want to trade people, but if they do, I'm down. I would still love to add a defensive tackle to this football team, even if Mozzie is playing better football.
He better in this game. I think there's going to be. I think when all the people get the tape, they're going to see better effort, and they're going to see the couple times where he still laid off the ball, but overall, I thought he played with some effort and made some plays.
Go get me one more. I need one more D tackle. Maury's music. Now we know why the running back room looked good enough in training camp. Thank you both for what you do. Okay. How much credit do you give? Because this is something I always wonder about. My theory in football is through 3 quarters, the Ravens had beat your ass bad enough that they were like, got him. And they're just chilling. Like, we're running out the game. And the Cowboys, I haven't taped this.
Yeah.
The Cowboys scored on a drive where the Ravens seemed to play, we're not changing anything, we're just here, whatever. You score, and then whoops, you got an onside, and whoops, you score again, and it's hard to crank it back up.
It's Ravens.
How much credit do you give Dak in the offense for the fourth quarter spark, or how much of that do you think was the Ravens were, we got them, we're done here?
You ran some legitimate ball plays in that end of that third quarter. Once that missed field goal happened, you got some things cranked up. It gave Dallas. Dallas did a much better job. The Tolbert touchdown was a really pretty. The way that Dallas schemed it, it got the Ravens to open up the middle of their defense, the middle of the field. You'll see when the combination of the routes, they get Tolbert into the end zone. There's nobody there. They schemed it up. I think they did a much better job. The Ravens tried to come after you with some blitzes, and I mentioned the blitz pickups with Dowdle, Hunter Lipke, guys like that. Dak was throwing the ball much better. You had some guys that I talked about the Texas routes where they break out, then break inside with Ferguson. They had some opportunities. The Hunter Lipke play was a big one. Washington, they got the matchups with Washington, the safety on Turpin.
Hey, chill out.
I'm just saying it was just a matchup that they, because you see Washington did
Washington.
Yeah. To me, there's things that Dallas did offensively. The Ravens have had some problems. We had Rod Woodson on the Hall of Fame safety corner. We were asking him about their collapses and things like that, and he says, "Oh no, it's legit. They can get up on people, and then things start to kind of go the other way for them." He says it's something that they struggle with finishing games. That was a tough one for them yesterday. I mean, holy jeez, can you imagine kicking somebody's ass the whole day and then losing it the way they would have?
Yeah,
that would have been crazy. That'd been crazy that Dallas comes back in that game.
I just needed one more stop, and I wanted to see, because if you could get one more stop, you could have had a chance from anywhere. Because I wanted to see Aubrey line up from 70 to try to tie the game.
Oh no, I mean, to me, and like I said, I was surprised that Mike went for it on that 4th and 14.
Yeah,
I was surprised because he had he had a field goal then. He could have taken that field goal. He could have taken points.
Right.
It was one of those punt field goals, but why punt when you got a guy that kicks it from the logo every time? I got to the point, Jeffrey, I'm sitting in the press box next to Zach Wolchuk, and I used to be the guy that goes, God, you got to punt this ball. You give the Ravens the ball right there, they're going to score.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, the kick is good, and you're like, my God. I got to the point
65.
now. I just don't say anything. I just don't. I used to lean over to Zach every single time, and I would go, "Man, I'm punting this ball right here. You give them that ball right there. This is points for them. How about their kicker missing? It just things were kind of going the right way for you. In that end of the third and into the fourth. You just couldn't get that one more stop, but you figured put the ball in Lamar Jackson's hands, and there's probably going to be. It's probably that play that Zay Diggs drives on the ball. Diggs drives hard on the ball, and the ball's there, and it's a chance. But Zay Flowers comes up with that big third down catch. God, that'd have been huge if somehow they get that one out.
Well, we got a quick turnaround, and I just need all the players to feel okay, because watching Dak have to answer questions at the podium, which seemed like he was talking about CeeDee, but he was being polite. But you could also take the undertones and be like, uh-oh. And then you got Micah and Tank after the game talking, and you're like, uh-oh. Well, we need to get all that crap out. That's what we need.
There's the thing that was concerning to me, Jeff, in the post was the conversations that were had when Dak was talking about some preparation, and maybe I read it the wrong way. And then Mike McCarthy said the same thing. And Dak was a little bit more pointed with maybe we need to do a little bit more. Maybe we need to get into the books a little more. Maybe we need to get the practice more. Maybe we need to, he was kind of putting it out there that maybe some guys need to step up with their preparation, And then Mike McCarthy was telling us that, some weeks you practice really well and you play not very well, and then other weeks you don't practice well and you play, And then he's like, well, this week I thought kind of was going to be, maybe we played like we practiced. And I'm going, okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not. It really is not. But I will say this. The general manager has an opportunity here. And, he was apologizing to the fans and stuff, at the end of the day.
Did he really say no personnel changes are coming?
No. Well, he said he likes his team. Okay. Now the question I want to ask you, Jeffrey, does he like the team enough to not make any changes and just play this thing out, and whatever happens at the end happens at the end? That Mike McCarthy's contract will run out, and then we'll just, he's got a lot of free agent players that'll move on and stuff like that, and just kind of draft this thing. I want to believe if I was a general manager and I look at this division that I kind of feel like that maybe I should try and help my team. Maybe I should go try and make a move. But he might feel like, you know what? And he's going to have a bunch of draft picks.
He's going to have 4 extra fifth-round picks, give or take.
He's going to have some extra picks. And so to me, if there's an opportunity to make your team better, but that's what he's got to do. That's on him. If you're apologizing to your fan base about that, then as a general manager, go do something about it. Don't put everybody through this again. If you need to go get a defensive tackle, a wide receiver, a running back, somebody like that, go get one. But there's a side of me also too that believes that they might just ride this thing and see what happens. And at the end of it, if it's not good enough, then they make all the changes, and they've got their cap and they've got their picks and they've got everything kind of where they need it.
I think Jerry kind of set us up for that before the season started when he had his Dak comments where it was like he's going to have to do more with less this year, and kind of was just hinting toward, no, this is what we're going to do. And if it doesn't work, then they'll be happy to have all those picks because you can just keep throwing darts to see how many spots you can fill to surround them with cheap talent. But I think it's damn near negligence if you don't at least throw a pick for a D tackle. Like if you wanted to sell me on, look, we're running with these receivers, I'd say, okay. And if you wanted to sell me on, we're going to run with these running backs, I would say, I think that's a mistake, but okay. But if you want to sell me on Mozzie, Osa, the end is enough inside, I would say you're not trying.
No, that's the thing about it is with Watkins, there's going to be 3 or 4 plays where it looks, you're like, okay, well, it's better than what Phillips looked. And they'll tell you that Phillips' wrist was bad, and he just looked bad. But with Watkins, we'll see how it goes forward. How what style, or I shouldn't say style, what type of pick are you willing to give up a 2 to go get a defensive tackle?
If he's a long-term player. Yeah, if you're talking about a long-term player, like I get if they were hesitant to do like a 4 or a 5 for a guy that's in a weird contract spot and you'd have to pay him, but they're not going to pay him. And so it's like you're doing a rental thing. I get not wanting to rent players, but if you had a guy that is a monster, that is a real life run stopper, badass, also might be able to get to the quarterback a little bit, and you said you're going to throw a second-round pick for a guy who's going to be here for 2 to 4 years from now?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I'm down.
Okay.
We need it. Why, do you got me a guy?
No, I was just curious of where our level of comfort is to doing that. I with this team, if you feel like you've got a team that can compete, and I want to know how you feel. Do you feel like you have a team that can compete? Do you feel like after, what you saw with San Francisco being all banged up and losing that game against the Rams, do you feel like, would you okay, let me ask you this. Is the Pittsburgh game and the Lions game going to determine whether you're going to get somebody or not? If you go,
I do think I would be comfortable.
Say you fight to go and you beat the Giants, good, you're 2-2. Say then you split with the Steelers and the Lions.
You're 3-3.
And you're 3-3.
I think if you let me be Jerry for today, I think what I would do is, the problem is that he's a salesman. I don't know if he's always a salesman, even in front of his players, but I would just go in and treat it as like I would trade for a defensive tackle regardless. If you could get somebody on the phone today that knows their season's sunk and there's a guy that either is better than what you got and you could get that's affordable or whatever, right? If I could get a guy, and then I would just tell the players, I'd be like, hey, all this stuff about how you guys little league football and nobody's doing their assignments. Like if for the next 3 weeks, you guys will do your effing job and I can believe that we have a chance here, then I'll help load you up.
Yeah.
But if our run defense is butt and every time they throw the ball, somebody's open and all of the things that I'm not seeing, I continue to not see, then we're going to run it out and it's going to be on you guys. I want to help you. Show me that it's worthwhile.
Yeah. See, I'm to the point where I always believe that you got to keep trying. I don't want to just run it out, but I wonder if their plan is to just run it out.
I bet it is.
I mean, I wonder if their plan is like, okay, well, we poached this guy and did this, and that's about all we're going to do. We're going to try and, but if you do get improvement, and I'll be interested to see, maybe, like I say, I feel like that Maz, you'll see some positivity. It's not all positivity, but it's better than he played a lot of snaps and he was better than he's played when he's had to play a lot of snaps. So I was encouraged by that, but you're going to see the run defense is going to be a problem with the fits. They're going to miss tackles, guys. You think maybe it's by design with the crash in stuff and try and fill behind it.
Where are the fill guys?
Yeah, but where are the fill guys?
Where are they?
Yeah, that's the problem. That's going to be some of the problems that you'll see, scheme-wise at least.
All right, Brian, you're the best. Keep crushing. And we'll
Appreciate
see you on
boys,
all of the
guys
different
and
things.
gals. Yeah, thank you, man. You take care. Have a great day, everybody.
Remember, all you psychos, you have no idea what your fellow Cowboy fans are going through. So be cool to everyone. We love you. Be easy.